It's like I just saw you.
Deja vu, if you will. Brandon,
Vu d'Agé.
listen. I think out of respect for Pete Carroll, we all gotta chew some bubble gum. Is that how you chew bubble gum?
I've never chewed gum.
Oh, baby! We here again.
We steer into another firing.
You could have used Den, Big Ben, Hen. I don't know how you would have incorporated that, but you could have.
Welcome to GPS.
10. That's another one.
11.
What's going on, everybody? We're back here. GPS, Tom Grossi, Grossi Perna. You know who we are. GPS, boom, boom, boom. Yeah, breaking news.
Wow.
We decided to go live again because not only did our show go long this morning, but now, exactly, Pete Carroll is no longer the head coach of the Seattle Seahawks. And I already see that there are people who are like, well, you didn't get fired. I'm like, all right, listen, buddy. If I was the principal of a school and they're like, hey, bud, you could be a teacher, but you can't be a principal no more. Tommy got fired. So, yeah. My man got fired. He's going to remain with the team as an advisor for the Seattle Seahawks. And this is a bit surprising because it's just coming off the heels of Pete Carroll saying, like, I ain't going to be retiring. So there was also that assumption that, like, okay, he's going to be staying. There was a super chat this morning that was saying Vrabel to the Seahawks if Carroll retires. I was like, well, he's not retiring. I did that a few hours ago. And now he ain't retiring, but he is no longer the head coach.
Yeah. Old is my takeaway here. 72 years young is Pete Carroll.
I don't think so, TBK. I don't think so.
It's like him and Belichick are in the same position where they've been with the same team forever.
Yep.
They're getting up there. And I think teams are just getting a little antsy to move on. I like the fans are right. He was not fired, Tom. He's evolving into a new position.
Like a Pokemon.
Yes.
Evolve
from head coach to remain with the organization as an advisor. Pete, winningest coach in Seahawks history. Not saying much there. Brought the city its first Super Bowl title and created tremendous impact over the past 14 years on the field and in the community. It's crazy. We're waiting Belichick. We're just waiting on Belichick now.
That is
we could
the
have
news.
In 3 different days, Vrabel, Carroll, and Belichick all gone. I think what's interesting about this is GM John Schneider, right? That's the Seahawks GM. Him and Pete Carroll, they are tight. That's why they moved on from Russell Wilson together. Ownership trusted them to make the decision. Looked like they made the right decision. And I'm assuming for John Schneider, that had to be a tough decision to tell your best dude, your best bro, like it's time to go.
Bud.
We're going to keep you around. We'll keep you around, but maybe it's best if we get a new head coach in here. And it makes sense, but it's also kind of a weird thing where you think like Seahawks probably would have been a lot worse over the last 2 seasons without Pete Carroll.
Sure.
I think you got the most out of Geno Smith last year. They have a young, talented roster on defense. So it's like interesting. And then, yes, the Dan Quinn ties make this whole thing super sexy.
Yep.
I kind of want Dan Quinn and Russell Wilson to return.
No, they're not taking him back from you. I'm sorry. Get off that hope. But you see it a lot of the comments too, and that has kind of been where Seahawks fans are. They're like, this is super sad, but time for a change. And I feel like there's just the Patriots are in the same boat, especially with Bill as GM. And I feel like the Steelers are in a similar boat because they're just like, listen, we can respect the coach, respect his time here. It's just, it didn't work. It was like Mike McCarthy, man. Like, with the Packers, it was just time to move on.
Yeah.
And like, you talk about complacency and you talk about all that. It seems like this is just like the next step, because Pete Carroll just, just a little, need a little bit of a change.
Yeah. And I feel like the Seahawks, to do this, have like a solid backup plan, right? Not a backup plan, but they have their next step in mind for the guy that they want. And I feel like that's the opposite of what we feel with the Titans. Whether or not that's true, I don't know, but it feels like the Titans just ripped off a Band-Aid and they've got this open wound and we're not sure how they're going to repair it. Seahawks will be like, yeah, actually we do have an inside lead to Dan Quinn. Or the Seahawks were like, Pete, let's get Mike Vrabel in over here. Let's let him coach. You step back. That is our guy to lead this team moving forward. I hope it's Mike Vrabel to make the Titans.
Here's the thing. I hope it's not Mike Vrabel.
Why? Who do you want?
Can you imagine the former 49ers coach as now it's Seattle? Like, I'm just...
That's actually the like the punt. I had Will write a short that I haven't even shot yet, and that was the final line.
Yeah, because I was like, man, I don't think he would, but could you imagine? Like,
Harbaugh
that would have been
Seahawks.
amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, now it's just like for Seattle, they got to figure out like what is next, because they're in that weird, I don't want to say transitional, but like they're obviously going to need a new head coach, right? There's going to be a little bit of a new coaching staff shift. But the other thing is, like, what do you do at quarterback? Do you keep on rocking with Geno Smith? Do you give Drew Lock a try? Like, do you go and get a veteran? So, like, there's definitely, it's going to be such an interesting offseason, dude. And if you remember, like, 2 years ago, free agency was absolutely insane. Like, that was, like, the March where it was just like, holy crap. It was the craziest March that we've had almost, like, in years. And then last year was like, nothing really happened. Like, there's no, like, huge trades. It's kind of like whatever. This offseason, just with coaching hirings, I feel like it's going to be insane.
Yeah. I mean, it could get crazier if Belichick's gone. That's like the final domino that sort of needs to fall. And if Jim Harbaugh went to Seattle and then Seattle won the Super Bowl with Jim Harbaugh, then Harbaugh and Pete Carroll would be the only two coaches to win a Natty and a Super Bowl.
Yeah, because that was that graphic that came out.
Right? Yeah. That would be crazy.
It's a rough question.
We're going to get one next year.
Yeah.
Bruh. We're going to get one next season. We would have gotten it this year, but we didn't need to win that last game. Okay, Raiders fans?
You did it on purpose. It was all part of the plan.
The one more crazy thing could happen, Tom.
Mm-hmm.
And that's Tom Brady unretires and plays for the Raiders this coming season. I don't want to see that man back in the NFL, but for that scenario, I would take it.
I get that. I mean, right now for Seattle, here's what I will say. Seahawks fans, you remember how you took the news when Russell Wilson got traded? Because I want to make sure that there's no, we're not rewriting history here. When the Seahawks traded him, there were a lot of Seahawks fans that are like, oh no, like, what are we doing? Like, this is crazy.
Sure.
And this pains me to say, I feel like the Seahawks are a very well-run organization, and I am not panicking that they are deciding to make this decision. Like, Pete Carroll's still going to be involved with the team.
Yeah.
But I think it's kind of just like, hey, we need something else to get us over that hump. That we're not in this, hey, we could make the playoffs. We either sneak into the wild card and lose to the 49ers, or, we just miss out on week 18. We won our last game, but the Packers won, so they're going to take our spot. So, like, they are a competitive football team, but we need a little something that's going to get us over the top. And for them to recognize that, I think this year, and Johnny Barks tweeted about this too, unless you're like the Carolina Panthers, if you have a head coaching vacancy, this seems like the year to have a head coaching vacancy. You have Mike Vrabel, who's available. You're going to have potentially Dan Quinn, who's available. Jim Harbaugh, potentially, right? You're going to have potentially Bill Belichick if he winds up getting fired. Like Ben Johnson. Like, there are a lot of hot names for head coaching candidates. And even if you don't want to potentially get a coordinator or anything like that, there's former head coaches that are available that have proven they can do the job.
Yeah, it's like, Pete got old, and Seattle, they didn't want to put him in a retirement home. They're letting him, the kids are letting him live with them. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, Grandpa, you can come live with us for a couple more years. You don't have the responsibilities to keep up your house. You can't drive anywhere. We'll drive you wherever you need to go, but you get to be around the family for a couple more years, and then you can move to Florida or wherever.
To Shady Oaks.
Yeah.
You could go there. Well, Evero, apparently people are already, like, teams are already requesting to interview Evero.
Oh,
and
good.
The Panthers are blocking them. I think it was the Commanders or the Giants. I forgot who it was. I just saw it. There was a team that was asking to interview him. Might have been the Titans.
They could only block if they're interviewing him for defensive coordinator,
yeah,
though, right?
It was a DC job. It wasn't for a head coach.
Yeah, because if it's a lateral move, they can block it.
Correct.
So he would need to be considered for a head coach.
Yes.
Wow, the Panthers, what a bunch of scumbags.
There's like, you must stay.
Frank Reich's gone, but you're staying, Najiro. You're staying here.
That is very true, Brance. And I feel like that if this happens with Bill Belichick, it's going to be similar wording. It's going to be like, thank you for all that he's done, what have you. I don't think he'll stay on as an advisor, but then it'll just be a matter of Belichick wants to retire or not. But I am curious, like, do you think with these head coaching vacancies, I doubt it's going to, but I do want to ask, do you think this influences the Steelers at all? And what I mean by that is if they get bounced, right? If they lose this weekend against the Bills and it's not close, they lose in the wild card again. And this is all respect to Mike Tomlin because, again, I think he's a phenomenal coach. And like they're getting them or somehow getting into the postseason, all this great stuff. But do you move on and go, all right, there's some attractive options out there of wanting a shift?
I think
no, because the Steelers don't care. Like there's like ship keeps going.
Yeah, I feel like the Steelers would feel like this is the year where we can move on from him because those other teams did it. Like the Seahawks are doing it, the Patriots are doing it. We're gonna do it too. That type of mentality. But no, I don't think the Steelers will.
Great decision here. Yes.
Yeah, you would have to feel very confident that you would be getting Mike Vrabel and or a comparable coach.
Yes.
To be your guy for the next decade. The Steelers are an organization where if you go as a head coach, you better plan on being there for a very long time, right?
Yes.
Like, they don't make those decisions lightly. And I don't know how much their front office was actually thinking about a change versus how much fans are just getting impatient. You know what I mean? And the difference too is Tomlin's he's a lot younger than those other guys. You know what I mean?
Yes.
He's got the, I mean, Pete Carroll's old, but he's vibrant. And that's if you're saying if Belichick, he wouldn't stay on as an advisor for the Patriots. Do you just imagine how different Belichick as an advisor would be versus Pete Carroll as an advisor?
Kid, I just imagine if the Bill Belichick's I want to remain as an advisor to the New England Patriots, and you have whoever the head coach is, comes in, I just imagine Bill Belichick standing in the back of every room, hood over, and just staring daggers the entire time. It's not how I would do it, but it's your team.
Yeah, just terrifying that you go in and ask him for some advice. He's like, "What are you, an idiot? What kind of question is this?" Or it's Pete's gonna be like, "Oh, that's a great idea. Actually, you know what you could try doing on top of that? Yeah, you do this, and do this, and that's how you win a game, win a Super Bowl. And I'm gonna take my shirt off and I'm gonna go throw some football with the boys down on the field, and we're gonna have a lot of fun, huh, guys?"
I think here, no, it's 100% not an issue. It was not a mistake choosing Pete Carroll over Russell Wilson. I think the Broncos.
I mean, as a Broncos fan, I might say that's a mistake.
I know. I love the Saints fans that are in here because I brought this up this morning on GPS. The Saints fans are just please, we're asking for it. We don't want him anymore. Yeah. And that's just. You were you know what? That's what I want about Dennis Allen. He can stay on defense, but he ain't going to be the head coach anymore. That's it. It's all done. And for the Seahawks going forward, man, it is definitely going to be really, really interesting to see how they quote. I'm not saying this as a derogatory thing of like how they rebuild, of like, you know, what kind of culture are they looking to build in Seattle with the players they have? Because they do have a ton of talent.
Yeah.
Like they stay healthy. They have the receivers. They have the running back. You know, they have like the pieces of the defense. Like Witherspoon is looking great. They have guys. It's just maybe they need to figure out a quarterback too.
Yeah. I mean, they're at 16. To me, it's pretty simple. They draft a quarterback. We're so far away from really getting a good read on how the quarterback draft might shake out. But like, I have talked about Michael Penix as somebody I want in Denver, and every Seahawks fan on Twitter has told me he's from Washington. He's going to the Seahawks, and he's a guy that could be just there for them at 16. They can get a young quarterback, draft him. Doesn't have to start right away. They got Geno Smith, right, for another year, I believe, under contract. And the advantage, the position they're putting themselves in right now by keeping Pete Carroll, I think is really smart, because they can bring in a coach, and it's going to be a guy who's done it before. I don't think they're taking a chance
I don't think so either.
on a young coach, and I don't think they need to. If it's Vrabel, if it's Dan Quinn, they're in a great position to switch coaches. And for what I would criticize the Titans for, I'm going to praise the Seahawks for, because keeping Pete there, I think, keeps continuity.
Yes.
And if it is Quinn coming back, who already knows that organization, I think that's good. Assuming Dan Quinn is an improvement at that position. And we don't know that for sure, but based on his stint with the Cowboys and what players have said about him, even what players said about him after he left Atlanta.
Yep.
And he's been a guy who's been interviewed for head coaching gigs the last 2 seasons. Like, it makes a ton of, I don't know if he is the guy, but it makes sense. And I think it's weird when you're firing a coach, and I feel like you're going to end up in a better situation immediately. A lot of good coaches go to situations where the team's kind of in a bad spot, and you're like, it's going to be a year or 2 before we're back, unless it's D'Amico Ryans. But I like it for Seattle.
Yeah. Right with a kitty. For the kitty. Yeah. Yeah. Just why not? Just have Brady there. Just get the whole gang together. And then Perna just goes, Hey. Well, I feel like, so I wanted to bring this up because I just saw this stat with Pete Carroll getting fired, because he's been with Seattle for a long, long time. Matt LaFleur, who was hired in January of 2019 for the Green Bay Packers, he is the 8th longest tenured coach in the NFL right now. Yeah. That is effing crazy. And if Belichick goes, he'll be 7. Like, that is nuts. Like, it's the crazy fact that, because we talked about this on GPS this morning, just like you have the QB carousel. I know you're on it. Like, you know, the head coach carousel. It is like a very like daunting, oh crap, I don't want to be on this, because you see how quickly things move on if it doesn't work out. You bring in like a new coach right now, you have like 2 years? You're supposed to have 3, but like if you're bad, 2 years, maybe not even that if you're like hired by the Panthers. You know what I mean? Like it's that kind of mentality where we've become so trigger happy to just fire. And again, that's the job. You're a head coach. You are taking on everything. When your team is bad, it's your fault. That's what you're supposed to do, and go out and like jump on the grenade. But damn, man, to have a guy who's been there for so long, the Seahawks are going to be in a position that they haven't been in a very long time. And that's going to make for a very weird offseason.
Yeah, and like I saw somebody saying, like, you know, it's sad that he's going, and I get like the sentimental part of it, but the fact that he's still there is going to be in the organization, even though it's definitely a firing, 100% a firing. He's still going to be there. I think that softens the blow. You know what I mean?
It does. Yes.
It's like, yeah, you're just not doing this job anymore. And I don't think he was bad at it either. So I'll be curious to see who it is and how they think they can upgrade that team. How they get more out of that offense. Year ago, the defense was the problem. This year, the defense got better, then the offense sputtered. It felt like both units could never be great at the same time. Yeah. But they were 9-8, right? They still had a winning record.
Yeah, they had a winning record. Yep.
Yeah, I mean,
crankier or maybe happier. I don't even know.
Yeah, Does Belichick get happier or
I don't
angrier
know.
as he was retired?
He just like gets really into like crocheting or something like that.
Yeah.
But I think ultimately though, like I think the Seahawks are going to be just fine. You know, it obviously depends on who they bring in, but like you said, you would assume that they would have a plan. And again, this is all perception, folks. And I want to make this very clear. Like, I'm not trying to crap on the Titans, and Perna's not trying to crap on the Titans. It's just like the reactions from both organizations were vastly different. You're moving on from a good head coach in Pete Carroll, and it's like, hey, he's still staying on, soften the blow, what have you. You're like, all right, had him for a really long time. They're going to be okay. With Vrabel, it's like, it was a little too complicated to trade him. And it's like, I don't know about that one. So, and immediately it's like going to be a head coach because Pete Carroll, if Pete Carroll got like let go, in which like he wasn't going to be a consultant or advisor or anything, do you think that he would be a head coach somewhere else next season?
Ooh, I mean, yes, probably the Titans.
Water.
Maybe the Panthers.
I don't know. I mean, but back to what Johnny was saying though, dude. Like, if you are the Panthers, like they might have a tough time. Like bringing it, they don't have a first round pick, right? Like it's rough there. You know about Tepper. It's rough. I think with their Bryce Young, who you don't know if he could be the guy, but you better hope that he is. Like you're taking the job having him regardless with no offensive line. Like it's gonna be tough. But like you have a team like the Seahawks that has that front office. You have a team like potentially like the Patriots, right? The Falcons. There's a lot of potential there. The Chargers. I'm just saying, man. Like it's gonna be tough for some of those vacancies to be filled.
Yeah, the Panthers I think is the least appealing. And not just because the lack of what a coach can do in the first season without the draft capital.
Yeah.
It's knowing that David Tepper is not an easy owner to work with.
Yes.
It's knowing that he has fired how many coaches since he's been there? 3 now? Rivera, Rule, and then Reich. So like why would you want to go into that situation? The Titans, at least, like, you just got to find somebody who believes in Will Levis and knows that, like, you've got a solid def. Like, you've got way more to work with, I feel like, in Tennessee than the Panthers at this point.
Listen,
but the fact that Pete's not going to be on the market, it helps those those other guys become even more valuable. Because if he were out there, I feel like he would be desired by a handful of organizations. Like he's a well-respected coach. Players love him.
Commanders, I think, would be an amazing pick. Like if you wanted to go for like a complete culture shift, if you were trying to, obviously he's not available as a head coach right now, but like Pete Carroll, I think could be that guy.
Oh yeah. I mean, that would be fun too.
Yeah. I think that'd be like a super, and they get their quarterback, you know, they get to like, because Washington's whoever their head coach is going to be, they should have that mindset of like, they're going to be here forever. Right. And it's like legitimately from scratch, we are going to change this franchise.
Yeah.
The Seahawks, whoever comes into that job, doesn't need to do that. You need to utilize the talent even better and get them to that next level because there's already that great foundation. Over in Washington, you have to rebuild that foundation, but you could do it however you want to, which is pretty intriguing.
Yeah. It's just tough. It's like,
yes,
looking at what the Texans did this last year, I think probably is going to give a lot of bad teams some false hope because they're really an outlier in how quickly they turn things around. But, you know, with saying that, like if you got the right coach and you got the right quarterback, it can change pretty quickly. Your fate can change quickly.
Well, that's because like you saw like Witherspoon and how well he played. And like there was games where you're like, oh, they're really good. Then there's games where you're like, oh, this is really not good. So, I mean, that sounds like a Dan Quinn thing to me. That sounds like a Mike Vrabel thing to me. That sounds like a Harbaugh thing to me.
Yeah. That
you can kind of slowly rebuild that Legion of Boom 2.0 while, again, just being a damn good head coach. And there's already a couple of those guys out there. So it's exciting, man. I know it's like sad for Seahawks fans. It's that bittersweet of like, even if you thought it was time to move on, like he's been with you for a long time. That actually is very accurate. But I don't know. Ultimately, I think they'll be okay.
Yeah, they're good. I thought we were safe. I thought he was safe. I didn't think this was going to happen. So it's surprising in that we weren't expecting it. even though there was like the discussion. There was like this week, it was like, yeah, Pete, everybody talked. He's going to come back. He wants to come back. And it only makes sense in that like Pete's done it for a long time and he's getting old. It's not like, oh my God, he's a horrible head coach now. We need to move on from him. It's more like maybe we change it up. A new guy's a little better. But yeah, that's why we did an emergency episode. It's like, holy shit.
To this point, I think Seattle jumps to the near top of the list because like the talent is there. Like, the front office is good. The talent is good. It's a stable organization. Like, I think that's near the tippy top. The Chargers are like up there. The Falcons are like kind of that dark horse of like, ooh, like that could be a really fun team if somebody could actually like put these positions who they've spent like every 8th pick on to go and actually, be amazing.
Yeah.
Or at least give them an opportunity to.
In terms of offensive talent, it's the Falcons, but they have big quarterback question marks. I think Washington's very intriguing just because of where they pick in the draft.
Yep.
And they have new ownership, so you assume things are going to be better, except for the field that you play on for a while, of course. But yeah, Seattle that's very appealing. That is very appealing because there's a solid roster there already.
Yes. And like, while you don't necessarily have like your QB, you can win games, obviously.
Yeah, right? Geno Smith, it's not like he sucks.
No, you can win games. Like, you go to the Chargers if you're like, I want my franchise quarterback right now, you have him. You have an opportunity to draft your franchise quarterback.
I didn't even think of the Chargers.
Yeah. Like the Chargers, again, they have that cap problem and they have like a couple of aging players, but you have your franchise QB, which arguably is the hardest one to get. So
if you're the type of person and you can admit that like no matter what you do or try, it's not going to work, then the Chargers job is for you. Like, I think the best coach ever could go to the Chargers, and it's probably just not going to work out for whatever reason.
Real quick, Bears GM Ryan Poles on Justin Fields. I think Justin got better. I think that he can lead this team, but we are in a very unique situation.
Yeah, I think he gone. For sure, man.
Yeah.
It's not even a knock on Fields. I just think they've got a unique situation where they can upgrade through the draft, or at least think they upgrade through the draft.
Yeah, I mean, because it seems like Eberflus is staying, so like, all right, let's see what you gonna like. Are you gonna do it again? Are you gonna go and draft a quarterback again with a coach who's already on the hot seat in an attempt to save their job? Like a marriage saying, hey, let's have a kid. That'll save the marriage. That kind of thing. It's been working out great. Yeah. It really has. So I'm just, again, when it comes to Dallas, they have to be terrified. They're like,
well,
dude, if
Dan
we
Quinn
lose on Sunday, because like Dan Quinn's like, all right.
That's like Quinn's a shoo-in for the Seahawks, assuming the Cowboys don't choke this weekend.
Well, this one, like I said no, but then he hired that agent, and he won the Natty, so I think he's kind of done what he wants to do, so he might be done now and might just come to the NFL.
He's the most unpredictable person in the NFL.
Yeah, I said that in the reaction too. Like, Cardinals fans have to be rejoicing right now because, one, it's a good coach that's out of the division, and two, they're not the dysfunctional team this offseason. They don't have to worry about coaching. Like, they don't have to, they got clowned on for Jonathan Gann and all that, and they were competitive at least. They have a ton of draft capital.
Yeah.
Now you go out and rock.
They're in a good spot.
That's fair. That is fair.
Yeah. No, I think like having him there is valuable. Just having his energy like in the building, I think is valuable.
That's a good question.
The Packers beat the Lions.
I don't think so because Geno Smith still looked really good, and I think it would have saved Pete Carroll's job anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about last year. Oh, wait, you are. Okay, never mind. Yeah. I don't think so. Because Geno Smith played really well last year.
Yeah, I don't think Pete's job was in jeopardy last. I didn't even think it was in jeopardy this year.
I thought once he said he wasn't retiring, I thought that was like, okay, he's staying.
Yeah. Well, and they like before he was fired, they're like, I forget who drew the comparisons. They're like the way Belichick and Pete Carroll have like reaffirmed that they are the head coaches for the football teams, that they want to be there, that discussions have happened about moving on from them, but we'll see.
Yeah. Dude.
I don't, Connor. I'm sorry. I hope I'm wrong, Connor. Just show me a situation where the Chargers do something that is not let us down. Okay.
I got off the Chargers train this past offseason because I hyped them up for like 2 to 3 years straight in the offseason. And then I was just like, I'm done now. After that Jaguars game, I'm like, nope. Don't care what they do. Don't care if it's JC Jackson. Don't care if it's Khalil Mack. Nope.
The wrong move. It's the wrong move. And it's not their fault. They can do the right moves, the Chargers, and it will just be the wrong move.
It's just like, nope. Sorry.
They could
Dan
draft
Campbell went to LA, we'd be talking about him like we talk about Brandon Staley.
Yes. If Kyle Shanahan went to the Chargers, we would be like, how do they have the worst offense in the NFL year after year? And their defense would be good. Their defense would be great somehow.
Yeah.
But their offense,
I'm telling dude, that's what I just want to see this just for, let's just turn the NFC West into just chaos. I'm all about that.
Yeah. How much crazier would the Chargers narrative be if Tua were on the Chargers and Herbert were with the Dolphins? If the Dolphins said, you know what, we're going Justin Herbert.
It would be
like, imagine that scenario.
Well, real quick, they're not doing anything except drafting. Maybe they'll bring in like a couple free agents, but their cap is not really that great until 2025. Mike McDaniel, because you love him so much, and I really enjoy Mike McDaniel, he's starting to get questioned a lot more. Like, there is even, I think it was just like the most recent episode of Hard Knocks, where he was kind of delivering the speech after the Week 18 loss to the Bills.
Yeah, I saw that.
And a lot of people were like, this doesn't feel really genuine. Like, it feels like he's making like a movie speech. And like, it just, there's more and more of that. And I'm like, oh God, they really need to win against the Chiefs. Like, they need to get it. Because we talked about that last year when they came up short and we were like, okay, Tua got hurt, all this stuff. There is definitely, the seat has gotten hotter. And I still think he is a good coach. I think just the runway is running out.
Well, I mean, that's like, and when you get more attention, when you have like it's the, like, we crucified Gannon for one speech. Like, I don't think those speeches are as important as people make them out to be. And I think like Hard Knocks does this thing where it's cutting away to players looking like bored during coaches' meetings. And that's just like, this is week 18. These motherfuckers are tired. They've been doing this shit all year. And it's probably not going to hit with them. And also, if anybody deserves a little bit of leeway right now, it is the Dolphins, who have signed
19 starters who are like out.
They just signed Justin Houston, Bruce Irvin, and activated someone from the practice squad to fill in that edge, because they lost Jalen Phillips, Bradley Chubb, and Andrew Van Ginkel, and their other starting linebacker. Like, they're in a bad spot. So if they do go into Kansas City and get that win, it'll be huge for Miami, even if they don't do anything else in the playoffs. But you're like, that stuff doesn't matter though when you're the head coach, right?
Exactly.
Your injuries, whatever the reasons for underperforming are, unless your owner and GM understand that and give you time, everybody else watching is gonna be like, why aren't you getting it done? What's your excuse now, dipshit? Like, that's how fans are.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it is. Salah's not getting fired this year. If they don't do well next year, he's gone. But this is actually, that's a really cool point. Talking about like Harbaugh coming back to the NFL. That might be talking about like remaking a franchise. Dude,
it would be so funny if Harbaugh went there and then just drafted JJ McCarthy because he knows him.
Hey, he's the greatest QB in Michigan history, said, right?
That's right.
That's right. All right. We wanted to just go live, folks. We appreciate it. We had over 7,500 people just tuning in just for this crazy episode, but this was like big enough news. We'll go live again if Belichick gets fired.
Please wait until Friday morning, 7 a.m. to fire Ryan. Belichick if you do it, New England.
Happy freaking fracking birthday. But yeah.
Happy birthday, yeah.
I'll be working on vids. I'll got predictions coming out within the next 20 minutes or so, and then I'll be doing a members Q&A tonight. You got that vid coming out today or no? You're waiting until tomorrow?
If all the things align, the video will be out today, and I've got Patreon hangout tonight too.
Oh, there you go. What time are you doing yours?
8 my time.
Okay, so that'll be way
after.
Yeah, we're fine.
Gotta
We're
get
fine.
Carmi to bed.
We are fine. No, we're not doing double curses. No, we're not adding. We're not subtracting. We're not doing any of that.
I love that people pay attention to that.
Oh, yeah, no, they'll never do that. It'd be cool. I mean, because free agents are still around. You know, that's why you have Miami signing people. But yeah, no, they're not going to do that because they like free agency to take over the month of March because it's another month that the NFL can dominate. You know, and obviously March Madness is going on and stuff like that. But
you can't do that.
We'll see.
I will say, I think moving the when active coaches can interview with teams back, right? Like if you are on a team, you can't interview in person for one of the open jobs until after. I think that's why we're kind of getting this slow roll of firings versus all of them happening on Mondays. Teams feel like they have a little more time, but who knows? Anyway, we are getting out of here. That was the last thing I'd say.
Oh, hold on. Pete Carroll, is that for the Seahawks? Hold on.
Is there more news?
It says to the players. The Seahawks just posted this. Hold on. I haven't seen it. Hold on.
Pete Carroll, just kidding. It was a prank. I'm coming back.
Pranked. Hold on. We'll watch it together, and that'll be the last thing that we do. We'll go out and hold hands and do all that.
I will remember you.
Hand. Damn it! I'm trying to download it. Just give me 2 seconds.
Will you remember me? Let your something go.
Life pass you by. That's what that is. Yeah. Well, listen. It's just different. It's different. I will say.
Sean McDermott's like, oh, thank God I wasn't on Hard Knocks.
He's like, that would have been terrible. All right, let's see this. Hold on 1 second. It's uploading right this second. And now.
To the players that have been part of this thing, you don't probably know this, how deeply I feel about the NFL is about the players. And we've not recognized that to my satisfaction. I brought it up at the league meetings a few years ago and probably surprised some people about it. But this league is about the players. And without those guys doing what they do, there's nothing. It isn't about the ownership. It's not about the coaching. It's not about the color of the uniforms or going to the stadiums. It's about those guys doing what they do and putting their body on the line so regularly. And it's not just a statement. It's real. We should always, in my opinion, understand that we should celebrate those guys because they are the NFL. They are this game that we love and the game we get to coach. Who would I be coaching, you know? I have a lot of thoughts about that, but I really do appreciate it. And to see some of our guys here today, I mean, it means the world. It means the world.
Yeah, he gets it. That's like true.
That's why he's loved by the coach. I mean, players.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a player's coach. I mean, you talk about Antonio Pierce right now. You talk about a Mike Vrabel. You talk about there are some guys who are just player coaches.
Yeah,
Pete Carroll,
because they get it. It's why we watch. And it sounds like a stupid thing to have to acknowledge and say.
Yeah.
But, you know, and just by that, like, is that he's just doing that now, that press conference?
The Seahawks just tweeted it out off their main account.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So
he's a guy who's going to miss coaching. He'll be there and he'll be happy to be there, but, you know, he's going to fucking miss coaching.
Yep. Folks.
Shouldn't have traded Russell Wilson.
What'd you say?
What?
Did you say taking back Russell? They're not taking back Russell Wilson.
I said shouldn't have traded.
No.
For the Broncos' sake, you guys shouldn't have traded Russ. Come on. Take him back.
Oh, my God.
Just kidding.
He already cursed the Packers. But, folks, thank you so much for watching. I'm Tom Grossi. I don't think we're going live again, but we'll see.
Who knows?
Perna. This is GPS again, and you have been navigated again.
And you've reached your what else?
Decimal point.
Somewhere. You're somewhere.
I don't know where.